This is Dave Meltzer with Entrepreneurs, the Playbook, and I have my friend co-hosting with me, the incredible Joe Tolzman. He's a serial entrepreneur, but I had to bring in some help because we have an ultrapreneur here. She's an amazing speaker, speaks internationally from Brazil to Qatar. It doesn't matter. You can see her everywhere, inspiring people and educating them about our future economy. She's an expert in Web3, a CEO, a founder herself. Welcome, Silvina Moschini. Got
Thank
that
you,
right.
David. Thank you. It was good. It was good. It's Silvina Moschini, and I'm
Moschini.
thrilled to be here with you and Joe, sharing this amazing space. And
So when you come to, we're at Collision, which is one of the bigger web tech events in the world here in Toronto. What is, people ask me like, what's my objective of being here? For you, what's the purpose of being here? Because you have so much going on. You're running businesses, you're speaking. Why would you take your time in front of these 30,000 people to be here?
because I have the opportunity to be with you guys, for
There you
example,
go. I set her up for a flattering statement. Well, fair enough.
they told me flattery will take me anywhere.
Everywhere,
So,
exactly.
so I think it's a great opportunity to connect, to meet interesting people, to learn, of course. I will be a judge at the pitch competition, and I'm very much looking forward to see what entrepreneurs here have to offer. And also Canada for us at Unicoin is our second market globally. So
Wow.
learning about the opportunities, developing more, and of course having a great time in beautiful Toronto.
Well, I'll be judging with you. In fact, the winners from all the Web Summit events are on a Web Summit episode of 2 Minute Drill, my TV show on Apple. So the winners are actually, so you got to help me pick the best companies.
Well, try to do the best. I'll follow your lead.
All right, very good. So talking about pitching, one of the things as a serial entrepreneur and international speaker is you have to learn to articulate a pitch. What should people be thinking about when they're pitching? Are there some tips that you can give them?
Yes, be clear, concise, assertive, and show what's in it for the other person that is listening to the pitch.
Awesome. What do you think, Joe?
Absolutely not. Clear, concise, and make sure you communicate how you can deliver the value to the person on the other side.
And now both of you have, South Texas accents, which means you probably weren't born in America. And so there's different challenges that you face when you come into America, language being one of them. Number one, how did you deal, both of you, with the language barrier when you first got here? And then two, what were some of the other barriers that people like me, the typical American, have no idea that you face?
David, you have no idea. It's so fun. It's so exciting when you don't know the difference between kitchen and chicken. Like that, it's hilarious.
That could cause some problems.
Yeah, you
I
could,
even got in bigger problems than that with mispronunciation of certain words.
yeah.
And are there other challenges, though, that we may not see in people's perspective when you're from another country, that they equate it to some sort of judgment that isn't aligned with who you actually are or the potential that you have?
Well, for me, one big challenge was precisely what I think is my biggest asset, which is being a woman. So it's hard to see women entrepreneurs, especially in high growth potential companies. But for me, it was also an opportunity because I was so determined to take over this space that they didn't see me coming.
Yeah,
So
nice. Yeah, the barriers were low. Did they see you coming, Joe? Did they see you coming?
No, they didn't. Yeah, it was a great journey. It was exciting. Yeah, it was challenging at times, but it was good. Yeah, and the best part is when nobody expects you coming, and then when you show up, that feels good.
yeah. And also something that for me was a very interesting competitive advantage that is that coming from a country, I'm from Argentina. World Cup rings a bell.
I know Argentina. I've been to
Messi now in
Argentina.
Miami,
I have 10 pounds still left over from when I visited Argentina.
but it's great beef.
The best beef, and I'm a beef eater.
Yeah.
We need
I
to
know it's
discuss.
out of the norm, but I still like beef.
Yeah, no, me too. Is that when you align your objective to something that is way bigger than yourself, like the impact, people want to join you in your mission, and this is just a perfect circle. It's like a perfect alignment of stars towards one goal. So I wanted to represent women entrepreneurs. I wanted to represent entrepreneurs from all over the world that have something to say, that have what it takes and perhaps didn't have the opportunity to have a voice. So I created a show that allows them to pitch to global audiences. So I supported them and they supported me as well.
And Joe and I are starting a fund, the first male-only fund for female,
Oh my God, I
for
love
female
that.
and women and women of color. So we're taking only men's money to give to women because I think it's the most underrepresented quality of skill that we have in America. Women, they get funded less than 2% of the time, and women of color even less. And yet they economically succeed more than men, more than any other category. You're better off putting your money with a woman than anywhere else. So I'm trying to leverage the male ignorance and perspective. Now, SheWorks, what are some of the other things that you do with SheWorks to empower women?
Well, with SheWorks, we facilitate employment opportunities that are remote. And we started this in 2014. I was living back then in Verona, Italy, right next to where Shakespeare got inspired to do Romeo and Juliet. And this is like a little isolated from the world. But what I'm doing now is I launched two companies. One is a show that is like a Shark Tank on steroid show. I do it with Steve Wozniak. Now I'm bringing Tim Draper, and we do a circle, what we call a circle of money, that we assess companies that have potential to become billion-dollar businesses. And we allow people from the global audience to click to invest. So we facilitate hundreds of millions of dollars of transactions via global equity crowdfinancing. And as a sub product of that, we develop a security, a SEC-regulated public reporting security as a vehicle to funnel investment in all of these companies called Unicorn. So Unicorn raised over $500 million in pre-sales and will be listed in security exchanges this year. And we are backing it with not only equity stakes in companies, but also real estate. We're doing real estate swaps to create the largest tokenized security in the world, and one that allows also for global impact. So I want to talk to you guys regarding how we can get more women funded, because diversity and inclusion is good business, and I love what you're doing.
Yeah,
Well, you got
amazing.
the right people there. I've already put my call out to Tim Draper, who's a good friend of mine,
It's
who you probably saw
amazing.
down in Brazil.
In Brazil, yes. That's why I
Exactly.
convinced him that he should.
Good. Well,
Yeah,
if you need
consider-
any other convincing, we will help you. Absolutely. Now, Joe, Web3 in the contractor space, we were talking about real estate. It's obvious, because of smart contracts, fractionalized ownership. I'm on the board of Redium here, where you can put as little as $100 into a multi-million-dollar project. For you, what application do you see with things like Web3, blockchain in the contractor space?
I think it's amazing. It's bringing people together. It's basically bringing the world together. The opportunities are endless, and it's fun to see it grow.
It's amazing.
Perfect. Now, what other projects? You have so little going on, but yet I know you're a person who attracts people that can help you at the highest level. I always say our frequency is our neighborhood, and you have such a high frequency, you're playing in a really big neighborhood. What other options or opportunities are you working on, and what is the purpose of those?
Well, for me, the purpose is to democratize access to investment opportunities for the masses, creating a regulated, transparent vehicle that allows people with smaller amounts to invest on the same table as the big people in the world, like Steve Wozniak or
Tim
Tim.
Draper.
And also to change the name of the game for entrepreneurs. As a women entrepreneur, a woman of color, even though Argentinians will fit in a very weird frequency, it was challenging for me to raise money. That's why I went the crowd financing way, and I did it at a scale. I took a company at a $1 billion valuation just by asking people to support me in my mission. So now I created Unicorn Hunter so I can create opportunities for many more entrepreneurs. So we are taking to Saudi Arabia, we're taking it to places where originally it was quite challenging for women to be. And my goal is to create the first $1 trillion cryptocurrency that redefines the way investments are seen and made. Not only currency, but investment. So it's a big goal, but if I get the support from the greatest people in the world, we can do it together. So that's my dream.
You can never overachieve your own self-image, and it's important to dream big. But a lot of times, and we've had many women entrepreneurs, it's the women themselves that limit uh, their belief of getting funded. So it's more than just opportunity that there's no funds out there. It's the actual reverse, that women feel not worthy or they feel insecure about it. A lot of what you do is, as an inspirational speaker, is to give confidence, not just to women, to everyone. But how important is the belief side of, you talked about, well, just casually, I know it's a big idea to be $1 trillion.
David, I want to hug you because you are so profound and you are so right on what you just said. Main challenge is not to get the money, it's to believe that we deserve it. Because culturally, women were trained to follow, and it was frowned upon to be assertive, to be successful, because it makes some people uncomfortable. And I have a massive revelation a couple of months ago when I was in Riyadh in Saudi Arabia, because there is a lot of change in women inclusion and entrepreneurship developing in the kingdom. And I asked one of the men that were part of one of the prince's entourage, and I said, like, first, I commend you on all the changes that have done to bring women into the business ecosystem, into as an active player of the society. But I wonder, as a woman who always worked to work together with men, because like true feminism is not about parting ways, it's about how we can build
Yes,
together.
that's what our fun's about.
Exactly. Like, men have been my biggest ambassadors and sponsors. And I asked him, how do you guys feel in a country where women are like taking and stepping on their power and are getting all these opportunities that you guys are enabling? And he said, well, initially it was a little uncomfortable for us because we suddenly felt that what we have to offer, which was financial security and the protection, was no longer wanted or needed. So it was challenging for us to see where we fit. And it was very heartwarming for me to hear that, because as a woman, I never considered how uncomfortable it could be for a man in a period in which women are transitioning into a different role, to see how they can provide. And they can provide so much that is much more valuable than money. They can provide support, emotional, they can provide contention, they can provide ideas, they can create these power teams that we women are very, very hungry for. And sometimes we don't know how to ask, and sometimes men do not know how to offer. And for me, it was just game changing in the way that I see this dynamic. And I'm super grateful for what you are doing, because just bring this into a conversation that change how we can relate to each other without feeling embarrassed for like or having to dim the light because we feel that the other person will not appreciate that we want to contribute.
And I think it's super important in Saudi, not only because of the perspective that people outside of the union have, but it's the youngest population in the world. And so, if we're going to impact and make change, it should be in the ones who will have the longest impact with that change, which is in Saudi Arabia, the youngest population. So, I think what you're doing there is super important. In fact, the last time I was in Riyadh, it was Wozniak, Randolph, Hoffman, and myself, and we were blown away uh, by the changes already and how supportive people are to provide the opportunity, but more than the opportunity, the belief that they deserve and are worthy and capable of the opportunity, which is where you step in because you're so gracious and powerful about that. Last thing, real quick, takeaways. What would you like people, when you speak, what is the takeaway that you want them to leave that room and utilize outside of that room?
David, precisely what you just said. I believe that you cannot be what you cannot see. So I want people, when they join me in a presentation or they are in a place where I have the opportunity to share my story or share my vision and the people that support me along the way, that if a small women that come from a teeny tiny city in the province of Buenos Aires, Argentina, can do it, anyone can do it. We just need to have the drive. You need to believe that you can do it, because this is a key thing for becoming backable. A backable entrepreneur is someone that can tell their story, that they can tell their idea in a way that engage the people that need to support them to want to join. And if I could do it, anyone with the right motivation can do it. So that's my takeaway.
I get the same takeaway from you and Joe. Even though Joe doesn't face the challenges of being a woman, he definitely has faced his challenges from a small town in Croatia, not knowing the language, working the back grill at Dairy Queen to think he's one of the most wealthy people here in Canada because he believed what he saw for himself. You can never overachieve your own self-image. I'm here with two people that are living that truth. Thank you so much, both of you, Silvina, Joe, for joining me. This is David Meltzer on The Playbook.